Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor
and his friend Jake
gives you sports betting tips. I'm your host, Professor Sides. For the latest updates and information, you can find me on Twitter at Professor Sides, and you can find my friend Jake on Twitter at myfriend_Jake. This college basketball episode covers select game schedules we played on Friday, November 11th, 2022. In case you're new here, check out the webpage on the banner. It's www.pickswiththeprofessor.com/new for a primer and explanation of what's going on around here. Otherwise, the goals for this episode are to share key information about these games, give you some things to think on, and explain why certain plays are being made. We never recommend blindly tailing or fading any pick, but rather hear the justifications and thought processes to make sure you're fully on board with us or against us before investing your hard-earned money. Remember that Sideline has graded plays on every single game, but as always, take what you like and leave the rest. And if you have questions about any of these games or other games, the best place to get answers is on our Discord, which can be accessed through Patreon, link in the show description. I gave a shameless plug on Twitter today. I gave it an extra play over there on the Discord, a total that I loved, and that hit. And then someone asked about Citadel, and I said I love that one too. It was almost one of the plays of the day, that hit too. So a lot of fun stuff going on the Discord. $5 each in the door there.
Yeah, no, it's worth every penny.
Now, as always, remember there are no locks and gambling, so what Sideline provides are loves, likes, and leans. It is A, B, and C grades to indicate confidence level with respect to scaling wagers. However, please understand that good and bad variance will occur. So as much as we'd like to say we'll be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Jake, I just really need you to hit one of these parlays.
It's very frustrating. I thought we nailed it with Creighton. That game was at the right pace. Got the over, got everything, and man, they just hit everything they threw up. And it was
and I think most people probably know this about me. I'm not a big parlay guy in general. I think if you're going to do parlays, like my biggest recommendation is always keep the number of teams low. Don't do 10-team parlays. Don't throw the same team in multiple parlays. Those are kind of the main key rules. If you're doing that, it's probably okay, right? And if you can do parlays, I like doing them at the same time or at least in the same game, because otherwise what will happen is people do a 3-team parlay over different times, and the first 2 legs will hit, and then they'll be like, oh, should I play out? I'm like, no, because if you're going to play out, you shouldn't have put that team in anyway. That way, if you do them all at the same time, you never have this question. You never have to think about it, right? That's the benefit of the same game, right? And hey, we're obviously going to hit some of them. The way these are going to go, you're going to probably hit like 3 in a row at some point.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a ton of profit. And then we're going to lose like 5 in a row because that's how these type of things go. But at minimum, we are illustrating to the people just how parlays, why they're hard, and why sportsbooks make a lot of money on parlays, why they advertise them, right? You should always proceed with caution with parlays. And I think we're illustrating that to a T, because it's so hard to do, right?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's a reason that's what you see in all the advertisements, and they push the same game parlays and all that. And hey, get your money back if you bet 20, we'll give you 10. Yeah, because they know they're going to pocket that 10 because
right,
everybody's going to load up those parlays and try to change their family tree on it, and that's just not how this works.
And I always tell people, if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, this is not the place to go. We are slow and steady, long-term profits. We are not concerned about 3-day stretches. We're concerned about 300-day stretches or at least 30-day stretches, right? And this is what happened in baseball. Baseball was fun. I started off extremely hot. The model was great. Then it was kind of up and down. It was kind of like 3-day stretches. Then we had a long stretch where it was really profitable. And so that's kind of what we're talking about here. Is there's going to be lots of little ups and downs. It's long-term type stuff. We're not going to concern ourselves with a bad day here, bad day there, right? It's long-term type stuff. So we'll get these rolling here soon enough. But before we get to today's slate, a lot of good games here for your Friday. Some reminders, please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you aren't yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free. And if you turn on notifications, don't miss any of the college basketball and MLB or college football content that this channel provides. And again, I've already mentioned that Patreon, but check it out if you haven't yet. Lots of great benefits. Membership starts at just $3 per month. www.patreon.com/pickswiththeprofessor. Again, link in the show description. Otherwise, even if you're not over there with us, we are still thrilled to have you here. Let's get to it. All lines courtesy of BetOnline. Sign up, link in the show description. And current as of the time of this recording on late Thursday night. many A-grade plays here on your Friday. Again, check out the Google Sheet that's linked in the show description. I think it's the last paragraph. It's also on the homepage of the website, www.pickswiththeprofessor.com. Lots of good A plays. Make sure you're on the tab for today, November 11th, so 11/11. Lots of A plays. Your favorite, Jake, the A-plus play of the day here is Miami is a 10-point favorite against UNC Greensboro. The model faded Miami successfully in the first game of the season, but now it is backing them, says that they should be about a 13.5-point favorite. Model doesn't really think this UNC Greensboro team is very good. Miami at home should be able to get out to a comfortable lead, and then it's just kind of hold on, up 15 in the second half, and then just we need something not stupid to happen, basically, to hold on to the 10-point win. Total 131.5 in this one, and interestingly enough, the model says 131.5. So right now the model says the total's priced pretty well, but it says the side isn't, that we should be on Miami -10. Jake, why is this your A-plus play of the day?
All right, look, I mean, we're 3-4 in a row here with the line moving after we do this, like the way we say it is. So whoever's listening, please keep this one at 10. But no, really, I really like this Miami team. Nigel Pack was an incredible get from Kansas State. Over the, I know there was a NIL thing, and I think he was paid like $400,000 to do it. But it was smart. It was smart for whoever is doing that. I mean, he's getting paid well, and the school got a great player. Like Wong coming back was big. They also have, I think it's Omie, something like that, is a very good big guy. They run this 4-out. Larinaga runs this 4-out, 1 in. They are a very good defensive team. That offense is hard to stop because that ball just moves lightning quick. Very similar to what, not as much flex motion as what Bellarmine ran, but that ball's going to move like that. Not a lot of dribbling. So there's going to be a lot of open shots. They struggled a little bit with Lehigh, but I think that was more because shots just weren't.
Lafayette.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And it was one of those
wrong L school. Hey, all I remember is in the COVID year where like things got weird and you ended up playing, like, I swear Lafayette and Lehigh played each other like 7 times. It was one of like the schedule, and like one team was sick and the other team was whatever, and so they were just like, oh, we'll just play each other again. Like I swear, I get, we should all probably be getting those two schools confused.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be within like 30 minutes of each other to
pretty close. Yeah,
they played a 7-game series. That's kind of fun. But yeah, like I think it's just because shots weren't falling for Miami. I think shots fall at home. I mean, UNC Greensboro took to task this D2 school that just could not play defense to save their life. I mean, the difference here in the talent level on the defensive end is going to be nuts, because UNC Greensboro turned the ball over 8 times and they forced a ton of them too. So that's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to live off that. I think it's going to be much flipped, where they're turning the ball over a lot more, not able to force as many. So Miami's going to get some extra possessions there with the turnovers, and I think they'll win this by 10 to 15 fairly easy.
Yeah, they beat Lafayette by 13 in the first game. We had Lafayette plus 23. It was just too many points for an opener. But in this one, I think you're right. I think they won by 13. I think they won this one by 13 as well. I did look it up. Lafayette and Lehigh are 22 minutes apart, so pretty dang close with your estimate of 30 minutes there. That's why people come to the show, to learn how far apart two kind of random schools.
If you ask me what state they're in, I'm not going to be able to tell you.
Pennsylvania. Both of them are in Pennsylvania.
I would say in New York. So
you'd be close. I mean, but as somebody who lives in Texas, I'm always fascinated by some of the Northeast, where it's like all those states you can drive to like 4 states in one day. And I'm like, man, as a kid, I remember we drove an entire day and didn't even make it out of the state. So moving on to the best B side, a lot of good B plays today. One that's caught your attention is Kentucky, who's a 17-point favorite over Duquesne. We talked a little bit about this one before we got on show, that if this got to 16, it would be an A grade. But right now it's holding on to a B. Some value with Kentucky still, though. So I think this should be 19.5, so closer to 20 than 17. It's a big number. If you've noticed, looking through the sheet, the model doesn't love laying big numbers. So anytime it does, I kind of take note and say, it might be a strong play, because usually the number starts getting into these 20 area, the area of 20, and we just start grabbing points left and right. Just saying that's the smarter pick. But here, laying a big number, the model is doing Kentucky minus 17, B grade pick. Total in this one's 143.5. Model says 141.3, maybe a slightly into the under, not an official play. Main play here, Kentucky minus 17. Jake, why is this your best B side?
I want to jump on this number for, I think it's going to move up.
Maybe this is the one that moves and not the other one. Since we're moving numbers left and right, apparently.
I think Oscar Shikwe or Xavier Wheeler or Collins is going to come back for this game because they've got the Champions Classic game coming up, and I know they're going to want to put on a good show. And you don't want those guys' first game to be that. So I think they may not play the full time, but I think as soon as it gets announced that they might play, this line moves because those guys can really shift how good this Kentucky team is. Because right now, I mean, they're even good. Even without them, I'm still taking this. I think they win by 20. They got an incredible freshman in Carson Wallace who almost had a triple double his first night playing at Rupp Arena, which is just crazy. Duquesne came out, played great against Montana, but this is a different level of, several levels above what Montana was capable of. Day Grant had a perfect night, didn't miss a shot. That's not going to happen here. They're also not going to be able to hit the 64% from the field that they hit against Montana. This Kentucky team is long, very athletic, and quick, and it is going to be really, really, really tough on them to get open shots. And it's just, I think this Kentucky team is going to run and be fast. And Toppin is much improved. The Illinois State transfer, Antonio Reeves, came out hitting lights out. That's all. He led the team from scoring from off the bench. He had 22. Frederick, the Iowa transfer, played very, very well. He's running the point guard while Wheeler's out. This is only going to help this team as they end up getting these. I think he won Player of the Year last year, or was next to it, and is probably supposed to be the Player of the Year this year in Shikwe. As they add him back, Wheeler is a very, very good point guard. So when they add those two guys back, it's going to drop some of these guys down from starting to the bench, and they're just only going to get better. I think this game gets a lot closer to 25 than it is 17.
All right, so that's our best B play there is Kentucky minus 17. So the Jake and a Limb segment here, a situation where the model just kind of says, don't know, think it's priced pretty right. Jake, you think that you have an angle on it the model isn't seeing, and so you recommend a play. It's Toledo and UAB. This is a neutral site game, so no home team. Toledo is getting 4.5 points in this one. Sideline says they should be getting only 4. So the model leans Toledo as a 4.5 point underdog, just a C grade pick again. Not very confident. I think it's priced pretty well. The model does like the under in this one, though. Interestingly enough, the total is 156.5. Sideline says 144.5. It probably shouldn't be quite that low, but the model does think that directionally speaking, it should be under that. Jake, you have a pick on the side that you really like in this one. Tell us what it is.
I love UAB as a team. I'm taking them minus 4.5 here. This game should be on your television. I know it's going to be up there competing, and what you're going to see on most of your TV is Gonzaga, Michigan State. So I think it's right around that same time.
This one's at 4 Central.
Okay. So, yeah.
So this one, as long as who wants to work, finish your work day early. If you're on the Eastern time zone, get home early, I guess. And otherwise, just who wants to work until 5? Put this game on your computer. Your boss hopefully doesn't care.
Yeah, especially with most people, I'm assuming, are able to work from home. They're not unless your boss living with you. I don't think they're going to see it.
There you go. Yeah, go take lunch, go home, work the second day, half of the day at home.
Yep. Yeah, not just because this should be a great game, because Toledo is supposed to be really good this year. UAB is probably one of the best mid majors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count Gonzaga in that because I don't feel like that's quite fair.
Yeah.
So UAB is probably the next best mid major, but Jelly Walker is just a walking bucket. He is unbelievable. He finished the year amazing, came up, didn't miss a beat, had 38 in the opener. He is just really, really good. Andy Kennedy is a great coach. He got ran out of the SEC for some reason. I don't know why. He right after making the tournament at Ole Miss. It didn't really make sense. But that's different. That's a different conversation. Just think that he did great. He grabbed a couple. They grabbed an LSU transfer, so a couple other transfers. He returned I think 4 of his 5 starters off last year's team, who did very well. They won a game in the tournament, I believe. And then I mean, I love this Toledo team. I love to watch them play. They play at a very fast pace. Their coach, Todd K, we'll call him Coach K Jr. because Coach K is no longer here. I can't say his last name. It's going to sound like a cuss word if I say it. But he's a very good coach, but it's mainly offensive. Like they play very much kind of like that Nate Oates, like just run and gun and shoot it very quick. And that's part of the reason why the number's so high on the total. But I just don't think they've got enough defense here. And I mean, they let Valpo hit 43 from three, or 43% from three. They're not a great shooting team. This UAB team is a great shooting team. Jelly Walker might. There's I would almost say there's more of a chance that he hits 50 than he goes under 20. He's gonna just shoot it over and over. It's just unbelievable. And he's very, very good.
If he hits 50, you heard it here first.
Yeah, I think the reason is on the defensive end because he's just going to get so many more shots because Toledo wants to play so fast. And having a guard like that really separates teams, especially at the college level. And I think that is the biggest difference.
I think the counter to hitting 50, and I think the reason why the model likes the under a little bit here is new court, usually slower starting. I will say my official recommendation, if you're playing an under on a neutral site here this weekend, maybe, especially the first game of these tournaments, maybe a first half under, probably a safer bet than the full game under, expecting it to start slow. So something to consider there, that sometimes these neutral site games, they start a little bit slower the first 10 minutes and then they start kind of picking up. And then the second half is when more of the scoring happens.
Very similar to when they play the Elite Eight games and stuff in the football stadiums. Arenas.
Even in the first round, a lot of times the first half unders, they've started shading them really low because that same effect happens where it's just things start slow. There's usually a game or two that starts like gangbusters, but there's so many games that start relatively slow, and if there's going to be scoring, it's going to happen later. You talk about the best mid-major. Do we consider the American a major now? I mean, the American wants to be called a major. They're doing the whole with the power six, right? That sort of thing.
I think they are. I mean, you've got some.
They're a good basketball conference. Yeah, Houston, Memphis. I mean,
but the thing is, they're losing that because Cincy's normally pretty good too. So I consider the American up there with the Power Five. I
just wanted to clarify that so that people in the comments were, how did Houston or whatever's a mid major? It's like, I don't know if Houston's a mid major or not.
You can't be a Final Four and title favorite and claim you're a mid major.
Right. And next year they'll be moved up, right? So it'll be a different situation there. So that'll take us to our shake and bake with Jake. Again, like we talked about the start, we're going to get one of these here soon enough. The one you like here, late one, 9:30 Central, BYU at San Diego State. San Diego State, when you talk about mid-majors, right, another team that would argue with UAB as one of the best ones. This early in the season, it's hard to tell. Both of them are going to be fantastic teams. They're 10-point favorites at home against a BYU school that has had some good basketball teams. Mm-hmm. This one maybe not quite up to par with some of those. The model here says this should be San Diego State minus 11.2. Says the total should be 131.5. It's actually 136.5. So we have about 5 points of cushion there on the under. So again, the model here is saying lay the 10 with San Diego State and go under, which I think anytime you talk about San Diego State, under feels like a smart play. Doesn't even matter the sport. I don't know anything about their baseball team, but probably a smart play with that too. Definitely is for football and basketball. Yeah. Jake, what's your take on this one?
All right. First off, I think BYU is in for a hard year this year. This is very unlike a BYU
football
team.
And basketball.
Yeah, they are very inexperienced. They're a very young team, so they're going to struggle there. That you watch it, they struggled to put away a doormat in Idaho State, and they only won that game at home by 4. They shot terribly. Going
it was tied too.
Yeah, it was just they never looked good. They never looked like they had it handled. The San Diego State team is one of the teams I'm most excited for this year. They were very good last year, and mainly on the defensive end. But they also had that kid Bradley who could just light up teams. And then they went out in the transfer portal and grabbed him some help with Trammell from Seattle. Now they've got 2 guys that can literally go lights out scoring at any point. I think both were averaging 17-18 last year. You put them both on the same team, it makes it really tough, especially with the way they play defense. That defense didn't drop at all. I think they forced turnovers on over a quarter of the possessions for Fullerton. I mean, not that Fullerton's a great team or anything, but they held them to 57 points, and still 1 hour 4 times they had the ball, they were giving it back to San Diego State. San Diego State, and the reason I like the under, one, that defense is just suffocating. Everybody's watched Texas Tech and how that defense works and how Chris Beard's defense works at Texas, which, holy crap, what was Houston Christian doing tonight?
Whatever it wasn't basketball.
Yeah. But anyway, so like everybody's seen that. Well, this is very much of the same vein kind of defense. Very it's not pack line like you'd see with Virginia. It's very much in your face pressure. Do not let anybody breathe and have a lot of rotations. They're very, very good at it. This is a very experienced team. It's one of the most experienced teams coming back. I think they ranked inside the top 50 in Kim Palm's experience rankings. They made it to the tournament last year. They're, I would say, the big favorites to win the Mountain West. And I don't really see anybody else getting in their way for that. But this is I swear this is the parlay it's going to hit because it makes the most sense. Going under this 136.5 and -10. I really don't see BYU having much of a chance here. I think they get choked out throughout the game on offense.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference between San Diego State and the next best team in the Mountain West, which is interesting, a little sad. I mean, when the Mountain West has like 4 or 5 top teams, it's a lot of fun. And not that there won't be some good teams, but the San Diego State team is poised to be pretty good. I like the under a lot as well. You know, when you talk about, we think that San Diego State's just going to be a lot better than BYU. BYU at this point, you know, maybe on a good year for them can eke into the tournament as an 11 seed, a 12 seed. But like you said, we saw from that first game, I mean, it's looking almost like getting to the NIT would be a good season for them based off of that. It's just one game, you know, but yeah, it's concerning for sure. And when you just know how good San Diego State is, when you talk about that, the better team tends to control the pace of the game. And the reason for that is you talk about that suffocating defense. San Diego State's going to play a slow game. They're deliberate on offense. Mm-hmm. They make you take a long time shooting the ball. If BYU tries to play, and they want to play up and down, they want to get up, down fast, shoot the ball. But if they try to do that at San Diego State, they're probably not going to get good looks, which means they're not going to score. It's going to help the under. Yep. Or they're going to take a long time on the shot clock because that's what San Diego State does. Kind of help the under. It's kind of one of those, I don't see what happens in this game to go over other than just, you know, there's some times where teams just can't miss, and that sort of thing happens in 40 minutes every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to. Both these teams would have to get really hot and play a different style of ball than they're used to.
Yeah, and that's obviously possible, right? So obviously there's no locks in gambling, but yeah, when you look at it, it's kind of like, unless something weird happens, you get one of those upper 10th percentile type shooting performances from one or both of these teams. It's hard to see how there's a lot of points in this one. San Diego State's going to control the tempo. They're going to make BYU take a long time on offense, or they're going to create a lot of bad shots, or both, right? And they're going to take their own time again with a deliberate style of offense, try to control this game. They should be able to dominate it. Like we said, we think they're a lot better than BYU. So San Diego State -10 and under 136.5 is our shake and bake with Jake here. On to the must-see TV segment. There's a handful of interesting games here for your Friday. Already talked about a couple of them here. We've already highlighted some interesting games, some good games that you might want to watch. This one is one that you have your eye on. Love the small school love here. Belmont and Furman. Belmont already playing in a classic this season. Now they're traveling to Furman. Furman is a 9-point favorite in this one, which, you know, just at first glance just kind of surprised me that it was that much. And obviously this Furman team is really good. We saw what they did last year, but it's still just jarring for me personally, because in my head I'm still kind of like, Belmont's, you know, like almost like a baby Gonzaga in that, you know, pretty good school constantly, you know, whatever. And Furman's like the new kid on the block, but Furman, a legit team. Sideline says this should be Furman -7.8. So it's not like the line's that far off, but the model thinks grabbing the 9 with Belmont makes a lot of sense. This could be a tight ball game. And at that point, you know, we just need something not crazy to happen at the end to get +9. That's where the model says. Model also likes the over 145.5. as the total should be 149 according to the model. Jake, what is your play for us on your must-see TV game of the night?
Like I'm on Belmont +9. this was a contender to be in the last game. I just thought this one fit better for the TV because not everybody's going to want to stay up till almost midnight. But I mean, this game's going to be battling it out for your TV space with the Gonzaga game, and Mississippi State and Akron should be on your TV too. At least check in on that. That's Akron's supposed to be a very, very good team this year, and I think
that's another number that just surprised me. Just from this, and again, when you look at the numbers, it kind of makes more sense. But yeah, just looking at Akron being favored, I was like, really, they're favored over an SEC? Okay, all right. So, I'm intrigued. I want to see what's going on in that one.
Yeah. It should be a very good game, and but this one should be a really, really good game. Like Furman has 2 guards. I wish I could say their name, get their names right, but I can't. That they brought back from last year that are incredible. They are just going to light people up left and right. But it's just they are going to struggle on the inside. Belmont is one of the top 40 teams in size. And so they've got a lot more size than this Furman team, and they're going to rebound like crazy. Furman depends a lot on the outside shot. That creates a lot of – it's just harder. The farther you get from the goal, the harder it is to make the shot. It's just one of those things in life. But Belmont also has some very good shooters. They were missing some starters in that first game, or guys that were projected to start in the Ohio game. I think there's a chance to get a couple of them back, but if that happens, this line should get a lot tighter because these teams are very, very close in talent, and it's going to be a very, very good game. I think the rebounding edge plus Shepard being able to shoot just lights out and not miss a beat for Belmont keeps this game very close. They had, and just Belmont is an incredibly coached team every year. It's just they don't make stupid mistakes, it seems, and if they do, it's very, very rare. I don't think they're going to turn the ball over a lot and give Furman a lot of chances, extra chances. I think this game stays within about 5 points the whole game.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They were 6.5-point favorites in the first game at home against Ohio, and I said that was way too many. I said it should have been 2.5, that Ohio's a really good team. And Ohio nearly won the game. Belmont wins by 1. It feels like this is a little bit of an overreaction to that because I think that said enough about Ohio as Belmont, which we said from the start that wasn't Belmont's a good team. Ohio's a good team, right? And the same thing here, Furman's a good team as well. Some of these teams are all pretty good. Early in the season, it's hard to know exactly where they're going to stack up, which is kind of why sometimes taking a decent amount of points like this makes a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense in that game to grab the points with Ohio, just saying they can hang in this game. And the same thing here, it makes a lot of sense grabbing the points with Belmont, just being they can hang in this game. Just because they didn't, destroy Ohio, Ohio's a solid team. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get destroyed by Furman, who also is decent, but all these teams are pretty good, interesting small schools that all have a good shot at playing into March. All should at least make the NIT at minimum and got a good chance of playing in the big dates.
Yeah. I know, I mean, Belmont, they, especially this first month and a half of the year, almost every time they're going to play, because the way their schedule writes up, they're going to be good chance that they're on this must-see TV segment because they're a very good team. They play very good mid-majors because that's just smart scheduling because you want your team battle-tested and you can't control your conference, even though they just moved up to the moved up is the wrong word, but I think they went to a stronger conference than Missouri Valley than the OVC, and Murray State went with them. So
because those were the only 2 teams in the OVC that were any good. They've all left over the years.
Yep. It's wild. I went to school in the OVC, and that I don't recognize that conference at all anymore.
Yes, it's totally different. Most of them, I feel like all of them just went to the Missouri Valley, or most of them did at least.
Yeah, and then EKU went to the Sun Belt. Whatever. But I just really like this Belmont team every year in, year out. They're just very consistent, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty. That's the games we're going to cover on this show. Again, check out all the other picks Sideline has in the Google Sheet. Jake, any parting words for us?
Yeah, keep your eye on the Google Sheet because there's several games in there that that we didn't have lines for right now with those 6-digit ones that I'm very interested in. One of the ones I got my eye on to see what happens is that Duke game with Lively going to play. It's been announced he's going to play, so I'm very interested to see what he looks like and how this Duke team looks with him playing. And there's several games like that once we get the information out, we can if you're in the Discord, this is another reason to be in the Patreon stuff. Like if you're in the Discord, we'll throw those back out there, those picks out there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, thanks for tuning into this episode of Picks with the Professor. Don't forget to subscribe so you can ensure all the sports betting content we provide on this channel. It's dropped right into your feed. We'll be back again tomorrow with more college basketball betting content. Check out the college football stuff if you haven't yet. But until we see you again, as always, best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.